Luis, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Rich. I'm very happy to be here.
It's been a little while since we talked, and today we're going to talk about the Nosara Civic Association. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you personally. You've lived here for a while now. You work at what I'm guessing is a pretty high-stress job, and you're president of the Civic Association. So my first question is, how much do you like or dislike Nosara today versus when you got here? And then talk me through your job version and then NCA version. Go.
It's a hard question, but it's honestly, we're going to look like old folks talking about the old times of the old Nosara, and it definitely was a lot nicer. Regarding the work part, I have a few things that happens to me that make me think about what kind of guests we're getting and what kind of people. When we opened the hotel, almost everybody knew about Nosara. They knew where Nosara was, where Guanacaste was, Costa Rica, everything. The first thing that got my attention was when somebody about 3 or 4 years ago asked me, what else can I do in the island? You know, that's when you start, oh my God, we're changing our guests are changing, you know, you start getting new people. Then is the umbrella guys, and, you know, they wonder how come there's no gazebo on the beach, you know, and because they're demanding all these facilities. And that's part of the strength of us as community or operators of keeping the essence of your business, you know, and not surrounding to whatever somebody asks you for. And this year was one of the most shocking ones when the guards report me when my guests come late or something, and they told me the babysitter came at 11:30 p.m. so the guests can go on party. Before that, Nosara at 9 o'clock was done. Everybody was asleep. You go surfing in the morning, do your yoga, your whatever you have to do. But now we get this crowd that is different. It's a different group of people that just come for the parties. And they just come back to the hotel around 6, 7 in the morning, and they sleep all day long, and they go back again outside. So that's how it's changing.
So different demographics in the hotel you're seeing up front is helping change Nosara. So is that part of why you got into your role with the Civic Association, and you were willing to take on this crazy task of being president of a supportive yet sometimes contentious position that you're in?
Yes, part is that. I always been into conservation and making sure that the development is sustainable and it respects all the people that are already there. And that's why I joined the NCA. I saw what they think, how they think, and I like it. And I became involved with it. Okay,
so let's fast forward into this episode about the NCA. As president, give us our update as we end this high season.
It's we see a lot of newcomers. It's a lot of new people that they some of them are very aware of what's going on and what to do, and they ask questions and they get informed. But a lot of new investors, they've been living in cities or places where you just hook up everything and that's it. And here, whatever we do have a very strong consequence. If I build a big house or a tall house, it's going to have a bigger consequence than if I do it in a city. If I do a big pool, if I do this, or whatever I do, the noises, if I cut the trees, it does make a huge difference in the surroundings.
That's a good point. In the city, there's a lot of anonymity and just another construction. It's just construction. And also you can go vertical. So there's a lot more space for people to fill if you go up high. Here, we don't have much space and we can't really go very high. So I think the prices that are going up and the demand that's going up, but the supply that's going down, I think it brings a big, strong focal point. For example, if you have a lot and Guiones or Palada close to the beach, well, people see it. And when that house goes up, people see it. And I think a lot of people are from different areas where no big deal, I'm just doing my thing. And now here somebody pops up and says, hey, what are you doing? Or what's this all about? Or Or they might say a lot more than that, but I see what you're saying.
And there's a lot of things. What happened is we got all this private investment that goes really, really fast, and you got the cash. It's a lot of people at the same time. Let's say 120, 150 investors buying houses, building. And there's no way the government or the agencies or any institution will catch up with that. And that responsibility is part of us, ourselves. Okay, you will say, well, common sense, like the temporary regulatory regulations for constructions that were very common sense regulations, but not everybody has it. And we all think, well, this is different because it's me. No, this is different than the other. So I'm willing to sacrifice something, and I expect everybody to be willing to sacrifice the same. But the things I'm not willing to sacrifice, so we get very defensive on our sides when we think what should be done or should not be done. And this growth, let me put it this way. When you go to the lineup and you see all these people now, you go like, oh, you got to go at 5 a.m. just to catch some waves. Or you go, you are sleeping and you hear the banging, constructions everywhere. Or, wherever you go and try to go at 5 o'clock to Nosara and you see all these bikes and motorcycles, everybody running, very crazy. We as people, now imagine nature dealing with this. When they see literally their habitats being cut every single day you see trees going down, making larger gardens, constructing your entire property because I pay a lot of money for it. I got to get the most out of it. And that's scary.
Can you state objectively what your purpose is and what you guys are doing, and then include a today version of it? Like, what are you up to right now?
Well, that's a very, very, very good question. And I think, luckily for me, my predecessors, I don't know the word.
Predecessor, yeah.
They were very smart people, and they were kind of doing things correct. And for instance, since 2018, NCA has been working already, pushing first the municipality to start the regulatory plan and working on financing all the studies and things that they need. Now the municipality has their own financing, and now they're working on it far faster. That's great because we believe, and like that, we also have we created the recycle center. We went and closed the dump. We get the municipality to collect the garbage. People don't even have a clue. You come now and you have internet, 5-speed internet. You got all these beauties that 5 or 6 years ago they weren't there. There was nothing. So all those things are thanks to planning. Planning is key, and that's because planning allows the communities to get to talk, to decide to envision their futures, to plan what they want, and avoid regrets and costly mistakes.
What's the most challenging aspect for the NCA in this planning part of it? Because your community organization, and I guess you have your 3 main objectives, whatnot, between your limited focus, but the reality is your hands in a lot of stuff, and people from the community look at that. When you say NCA, I don't think there's any one person saying, oh, they just focus on the nature reserve and they focus on like XYZ. I think some people think you're more of like the governmental entity that regulates this and polices it, and you guys are the police. So how do you deal with that as we're in this weird market place? All this stuff's happening, and you're the president of this organization. Do you think people understand the NCA very well, or do you think there's still some confusion about the role and how the NCA is affecting the community?
Well, that's a very long and complex question.
You want me to say it shorter?
I'll try to answer the parts I remember. First of all, we are not police. We don't have any power. We don't have anything like that. We are planners. We are people that try to work in different sections, areas, and we plan ahead of what we foreseen that is going to happen. For instance, we knew the garbage was going to be a problem. We knew the aquifers were a risk, could be a risk when this grows. And so we took we start taking the steps as soon as we realize something. So when the time comes, at least we are prepared and we have something to work with. And that's very different to be a police or telling people what to do or not to do. That's not our point.
You're clearly stating you guys are not the enforcers. You're trying to strategically implement future actions to make tomorrow better than otherwise if you don't pay attention to it.
Yes. And for these things, we consult people. All our members have voice. We consult specialists. We get aware of the laws and what can be done, see what has happened in other communities. And with all that information, we try to present a plan. And those plans are presented every year in our meetings.
Well, let's walk through some updates on some of the issues in the area. So building and construction is a very hot topic right now. Where's the NCA at? And give us an update.
Okay. The temporary construction regulations to protect the refuge, they're still not ruled by the court. So that's still there, and we're still working with the municipality and other actors on the legal part. We have to wait, and we never know when that's going to happen. So on the regulatory plan, we are going to the diagnosis phase, which is almost done. And after that comes the most interesting one, when the municipality socializes this information, tells about all the studies, what the results were, and start formulating the what is going to be the regulatory plan and the basis for all the regulations. And that's when the community has to participate the most. We all have to be there. We have to tell them what we want for our future, what we want for our community, where do we see our weaknesses? Where do we see our things that we need to do? So that's very, very enthusiastic. I'm very enthusiastic about that because we're getting closer.
Gotcha. So still pursuing the temporary building regulations, staying focused on the regulatory plan. We're about to get to an exciting spot of the regulatory plan, hopefully in the near future. Is that the synopsis on that one?
Yes.
All right, cool. Let's bounce over to the refuges. What's the latest? What's happening?
The management plan for the Oceanal Refuge is not being approved. It's ready. It's done. The technical part is all done, but there's an issue with Sala Cuarta. There's something happened a while ago, and that has stopped everything. So they don't want to approve the management plan until that legal thing is gone, and that might take time. We hope it's this year that we can get over it, but we don't know.
Got it. But so still tied up on that. Wait for the legal hurdle. See what happens, and then we'll take it from there.
Yes. And on the other hand, we have our own land that we are, always fencing and protecting. There's a lot of people that are stealing land. They go and register your land without you knowing it. We spend a lot of money on that, defending property from the NCA, and that has taken a lot of energy from us too. We are also working with the 7302, which is a big farm that goes way many, many years before we were born. There was a mess up from the registro and the professionals that work at the day and the people that sold those properties. But now we have a clear path, and we're working on it. We're working with the community. We're working with over 40 owners in Esperanza and another larger owner near us. But I think we have a very clear view now, and we are taking all the steps to make sure that it goes in a smooth way and everybody's protected their property without any issues.
Do you feel for 7302 there's a solution in sight, or is it you're just happy that you at least have a direction? Or are you hopeful that you're going to get through it and this will work out?
No, there's a solution, and it's very doable. I mean, it's there. I'm talking about something that comes for many, many years. Now we finally grasp everything, but we got to make sure that we don't put at risk the protected land. And that's important.
Yeah, that's a complicated situation.
Yes, it is.
All right, what else? Trash, the dump. There's rumors flying around town about a new skate park at the dump. Cookie was on here dreaming about it. What's the latest over there?
Well, the dump is officially closed, of course, and we have also have all the plans ready, They are approved by the municipality, by the Ministerio de Salud, by everybody. They are sealed, ready to construct. We also get the quote for how much it costs. Now we are missing the money. So that's that part when detail. We need you. Yeah. We're going to call you or call us because we.
So let's use this segue into how's your membership enrollment going? Because you're going to need more than your membership enrollment just to pay for that.
Yes. The NCI has been through a transition and we have grown a lot too. And fortunately, we have been able to kind of grow as fast or be right behind the investments and the things that are happening in our community. But now we need to find our long-term sustainability. And that long-term sustainability means in terms of associates, people that support the NCA, and financial. And that's what we're going to be working this year too, to secure that part, because we have a great team in the NCA that is, with this great team of professionals that we have been able to move a lot faster probably in the last 4 years than 15 years before.
Yeah, not
to take any merit on that, but the things are happening too fast. Like you said, there are too many fronts now. And we are able to patch some things, but we cannot patch everything. So we have to concentrate on those big plans and big things that are going to be solid and help the community the largest.
Interesting. What would you say is your biggest weakness right now as an organization?
Financially. Yeah. No doubt.
Are you happy with relationships in town and the percentage of people who are participating, or would you like to amplify that and try to pull some more people in?
We want to pull up some more people to help work, because there's some work that needs to be done in the committees and things to be done. And also with ideas, enrichment, the different perspectives, that helps a lot to understand the different situations and come to better solutions. And definitely we want to attract, what we call the anchor donors. We need a few anchor donors that help us. We're now in a program that help us for the next 3 years to compromise with a certain amount. So we know we can pay our staff and we can concentrate in all the projects. Now we have to, every time we do something, a sign or a garbage, we have to fundraise for that. So.
I was going to make a joke about how, it wasn't very funny, but I was going to make a joke about your expense for just all the fences. You're trying to protect the land, so you got to fence the whole thing.
And it's not just one big property; it's a lot of little ones, and we even have people that destroy them. And you have to go and do it again, and it's hard. And it's hard for some people to understand why those fences are there. With the price of, if you see a 1,000 square meter or $1,500 a square meter. Of course, they see this land and say, hey, let's just move the fence, or let's take this, or let's register this. Nobody's here. So we are almost done with all the fencing and signage. But even with that, we still got people going to register with crook lawyers and doing these bad things.
What would you say is your most positive thing going for the organization now? What do you have the most momentum with, or what do you feel best about right now?
I think we have been able to help the municipality to get closer to Nosara, which was something that we were lacking of. I think by late June we might have a everyday office here, and inspectors and building inspectors, and all those kind of things. So the municipality is closer to us. It's doing things. We are very enthusiastic also about the Calle Modelo. And how the community helped with that. And that was all people from the users of the calles, how we were going to plan to do something that we can replicate everywhere around Guiones, and not having those towns that have, suddenly somebody makes a boardwalk with pieces of wood and the other one with bricks, and one is higher, one is lower. It's terrible. So we want to have something that is even, that we all can share and make it more of our Guiones and Nosara style.
How's the walking paths going? And dare I mention or ask about sidewalks? What's going on with transportation around here? Because I know there's not much more room for cars. So.
Okay. It should be a walking community. It shouldn't be a car community. Yes, we need cars. We need to move from one place to other. But those communities that plan on parking lots never catch up with the need of more parking lots and more highways and bigger and bigger and bigger. We see it almost in every country, in every city. Those communities that decide to give priority to the people that walk or go on bicycles, they grow healthier, they grow better, and people are happier.
How do we transition into that from the spread out community we once were? Because if you live, I live in the back of L section. I got to drive to get to where I need to go. But I also understand exactly what you're saying in that the community will be better suited on foot. How do you transition into that from how we were without people getting too angry or upset?
And that's part of the regulatory plan. But prior to that, the municipality have the power and their laws. There's a new law about mobility, and that is almost the time is clicking for the municipality to enforce it.
Yeah, talk us through that. What is that?
Yes, 9602, or I don't remember the number of the law. But one of the key things on that is that when you build, you have to have the sidewalk done. That's it. So you don't get building permits if you don't have the sidewalk. That's why we want all the sidewalks to be the same. Otherwise, you do $1 million house and you want to spend only $2,000 in your sidewalk. Come on. It's going to be something that all of us can afford, but something that is walkable, that complies with the law for everybody can, in a wheelchair or whatever you need to walk. But that's something that we want, and we are encouraging the municipality to enforce. So every building thing. And that also obligates the municipality when they build something, a new road or something, they have to do the sidewalks too. So they have to budget for those things. So that is great. We all see what's going on with the 160 and the people walking on the streets and the bicycles in the mornings or late in the afternoon when there's no lights. And we have been working with the senderos of the NCA, but now we have a different view, adjusting to this. One is the connectivity. We are working in a couple of large programs to connect from Santa Marta to Esperanza with sidewalks, and also keep those nature walks, wild nature walks, when you get dirty and smutty or dusty and you see the snakes and things. But we have to have connections between us that are simple, easy. And this breaks not only physical barriers, but psychological barriers of people. That how come there's people in Nosara that have never come to Guiones to enjoy the beach or something. That's not possible. So we have to break that. And this sidewalk is going to be one. And we got a lot of very good people, organizations like NOCA and the municipality and other organizations working on this. And I think it's going to be a reality very soon.
Man, can you imagine being able to safely walk from Santa Marta to Esperanza?
Yeah.
Without walking like on an edge with a cliff over here, a line and a biker here. And yeah. Oh my gosh, it's something I'm laughing, but it's something that has scared me. Let me think. As around 2013, 14, somewhere right around there, I was up where Organico is. And the first people started flying around that turn. And I was like, wait a second, that's dangerous. And every day since then, every time I drive through there, it's like, there's little kids. Like my kids grew up walking around all there, and now it's paved.
Yes.
You can gather so much speed from each direction that people fly through there, and the big trucks just go through there. And I used to jokingly, but not jokingly, say, let's go put a speed bump late at night. I know you can't do it, but let's do it anyway. And now it's not just in front of Organico that I'm scared of. I'm scared in front of El Local at that turn. Oh. I'm scared at Pilata in particular, where the L section now comes out. That's a freeway. Like the bikes and the quads and the cars, they go so fast right there. Like that's the one spot where you can really get going.
Yeah.
Entering onto that, I'm just thinking, I never ever thought I would have wanted to have a Nosara with stoplights or go lights. And now as I'm sitting here, it's like I want people to be safe more than I want to get there faster. I'd like I'd like to avoid the tragic accidents that we dodge by inches every day.
And how, that's a simple example. How do we get people to slow down?
Unfortunately, normally something horrible has to happen to catch people's attention. Something horrendous has to happen. And that's the scary part.
And those has happened already. And 2 or 3 days later, we forget about it.
That's right.
And people die. People get injured really bad. I see with the people that work with me at the hotel, once in a while we got an accident here, an accident there.
The people who work at your hotel get there from out there, and lots of them are on bikes and on feet. And it's a challenging situation.
Yes.
It's a challenging. Well, thanks to everyone who's working on that and everything else. Okay, so it sounds like you have a lot of positive progress on a couple different fronts. Being president of the NCA, though, is it's tougher than people know. And when you were getting in, I was so grateful, and I was like, thank you. And I've been trying to get Cookie out of there for a long time. We were friends way before the NCA stuff, and I just wanted her to have a good life. And being president of the NCA doesn't always equal a peaceful life. Now I'm transitioning into, I'm going somewhere with this point. I know there's the bad side about anything in this community. There's somebody mad right now. You and I are having this podcast. Like, there's always somebody who's mad about something. So how do you deal with the people who are angry? Because through the temporary building regulations and some of that time period, it got very frictious. And doing the episodes we were doing, I was trying to share the information so that the people could at least hear about it and get their sides. But something I learned was with the NCA, it seems like people are either really, really for you or they're really against you. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the best thing for the future. It'd be nice if you could kind of get into that middle ground of, all right, well, I didn't like that, but I'll still support you. Like, you need some of that. It's the same thing for politicians when they need votes. Maybe the person voting for them doesn't agree on every single thing, but they agree on enough to make something happen and they can get the vote. I've kind of thought of the NCA, that's kind of how I think about you behind your back is, and to your face, I say it. You guys got to get the people who might disagree with you some too. I think there's a lot of potential support and further communication. And part of where I'm getting that is when we brought all those social scientists in, they all said the exact same thing. They said in all the surveys we did for this whole community, you were there, you saw all this, you watched it yourself. They said you guys agree a lot more than you disagree. You're just inflamed with your ideas and your angles and what you have going on. And you guys take it too far. Nosara is a very, very, when people feel something, they seem to really get excited about it here. But that's detrimental to you who needs to get more support. But you don't have to agree on everything all the time. And that's whenever I used to fuss at Cookie and Niece, that's what I used to say. It's like, hey, tone it down just a minute. Like, don't be, I know you're on fire, but tone it just a little and pull some more people in. And I'm still saying that today. I'm saying the same thing I've been saying for years. Is any of this resonating with you? Because it seems like during your tenure, a lot of the people who were really angry have calmed down a bit. They might still disagree, but it seems like you're talking to people, and that's what you promised me you'd do. And sorry for my long rant here. I'm trying to find a way of just asking, how are you dealing with the challenges? Because it's not easy to be president of the NCA. There's some people who dislike you. They've never even met you, but they just dislike you because you're president of the NCA. How do you deal with that?
It's tough. It's tough. And some people are very good at verbalizing what they want to say or things, and some people don't. 2 years ago, I have long hair everywhere. But what I realize is most of the time is something that a situation that they are into and they are angry about something and they think it's the NCA or the other person on the other side instead of the situation they are facing. They say there was a gate near my house, and suddenly that gate is removed. It's removed because it wasn't safe, and there's going to be a gate somewhere else. But I take that personally, that they take it because it was me, and I think the whole NCA is bad because they took the fence. And instead of saying, what can we do? I mean, how can we solve this? Do we need a sidewalk to the other one? Do we need a sign so you know where the other gate is? Or maybe we can work out about something, a gate closer to your house. I don't know. There might be other solutions, and there might be no solution for what you're looking for. I mean, and that's going to happen. Look at how much Nosara is changing. I mean, Before, if I burn my trash was not a problem, or if I cut one tree was not a problem. Now there are thousands of us. There are 8,000 more people than they were 10 years ago. And the actions that we do are different. So we have to understand that we have to be more flexible and more understanding of the overall community needs than our own needs. Like walking my dog. I never walk with a leash. Bah, bah. Sorry, man. I mean, there's a lot of dogs now, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of kids, there's a lot of tension. Even the dog is going to react differently like what would react 3 years ago and now. So there are some things that might affect us personally, and we will have to sacrifice if we want to look at that as a sacrifice, but I don't look at it as a sacrifice. It's something that we have to adapt in order to be in a society, and that's part of the thing.
I think there is a sacrifice of you have to make the communication now. Because as you're talking, I'm just thinking of what Dr. Salas, Dr. Freitag, Tina Nabanachi, when they all came through, they all said the same thing. They said, you can face this now or you can face it later. But if you face it now, you have a chance of working together, at least in a cohesive direction. Even if you hate them and they hate you, you still have most of what you have is in common, believe it or not. You want a healthy community. You want people to have access to resources. You want to have sidewalks. You want to have the nature preserves. We basically all want the same thing. People want to keep the nature. They want to have the ability for their business to succeed. They want their friends and family to have access to employment, be able to get where they want to go and live the life they want. We all want basically the same core items, but occasionally I want it that way or you want it that way. But again, that's what all those doctors told us, the social scientists. They told us over and over again, that's not when you go to war. You get the item out in front and then you discourse at great length about it. And at least your community can advance. That's how this works. But if you guys lock up, which is what we love to do in Nosara, the moment we disagree around here, that's it. Louis sucks. I knew it.
You go online and throw things, shut down the computer, and let them deal with it.
So they were basically telling us, they're like, this isn't a Nosara thing. This is a worldwide issue that happens everywhere. Communities grow, things happen. Communicate. So thanks for coming on this podcast to communicate.
Thank you.
There's a couple community organizations that won't come on the podcast, and people ask for them all the time. And it's just unfortunate. It shouldn't be off of personal likes or dislikes. It should be information should flow. And that's what the social scientists said. So I appreciate the president of a large organization coming on to communicate. I wish they all would. Enough on that, but you're moving into a new Nosara even though it's the same place. You just, like you said earlier about dogs, you should use a leash now. That's your stance, correct? But people who've been here forever I've never had to use a leash. What do you say? Well, your answer to that is, well, times are changing. Make a sacrifice now because there's a lot of dogs. And if you don't listen and now they don't listen, now we have a huge problem as opposed to just this basic one. So do you want to deal with the basic problem now or do we want to have it bigger? Isn't that kind of what you're dealing with on a wide level?
And also in our communication department is basically brand new, but we are maturing it and we're getting better on our communication, trying to connect, and we have been getting a lot of response from the people that we have our emails and things. And whenever we do something, we are able to bring a lot of people to the table, and that's very good. That means that we can keep this community growing, and more and more time we feel like we are more part of helping all the other organizations too. We like that too.
Let's call that great progress. I mean, how often do you get 10 people around here all to feel the same way about anything? Well, I guess we all feel the same way about wanting what we want. We want a good Nosara, but how do we get it? And what's everyone's opinion of how it should be done? That's a different story.
Yes. And I hear often this progress is coming, you are not going to stop it. Things like that. And this is not about stopping progress. This is about having a nice future for all of us and preserve as much as we can of what is brought us here. We came for a reason. Why we're destroying it? That's the question.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I'm glad you said that for people to hear. You're saying the NCA is not trying to stop progress. You're not trying to impede people entering the community. You're not trying to slow business down. You're not trying to be a police force to stop development. Are you publicly saying that?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is let's shape it as best we can, and that's what we're trying to do, but we're not the enforcement agency of that. Is that correct?
Correct.
I think there's a lot of people out there who would benefit from understanding it. Because a lot of people think you're the police force, and again, they think the problem's with you.
No.
The actual problem's with the law that's on the books. And then you go do what you do to try to get stuff going, but you're trying to work as a community agency for a greater good for the future. You're not here to yell about yesterday so much as you want to focus on tomorrow. Is that right?
Absolutely. We're not here to throw down walls or anything.
I'm giving you some good sound bites right now. That people,
I hope so.
I hope it works. Like I said, I support you guys. Even when I'm mad at you, I support you. Because you're doing more good than you are bad, in my opinion. That's how I feel.
Thank you. Well, when you do something, you're always going to make mistakes. And that's part of
that's right.
When you do things.
Well, also in a small town, it's ultra visible. And a big town it kind of spreads. So it's so strange because you could do something that you really think is the right thing to do for a greater good, but someone's mad at you. And I know for me, I'm very sensitive about it. Like it hurts. Like somebody's going to watch me talking and laughing with you, and they're going to be like, I can't believe you agree with them on this thing. And that might not be me agreeing with you on that thing. That's me dialoguing with you because I want to share the information, and I think everyone deserves to hear information, and then they can make their own decisions. So I really respect you coming on here and sharing with people, and I hope you'll come back and we can get some updates towards the end of the year. It sounds like you're pleased overall with as we close out the high season for 2022. It sounds like you feel comfortable with how things are going as an organization and with your progress.
Yes, we've had a great team, not only on the board, but also our people that work with us.
Well, let's give a big shout out. Thanks to everyone who's doing service for the community.
And the different committees. These people are, they are not visible, but they are doing a lot of work for us and working together and giving ideas and helping the NCA and helping the community. So I really appreciate those people.
Do you have any message for people who don't support you? And maybe not to your haters who might really dislike you, but do you have any message to people who are kind of on the fence? They don't really fully understand the NCA, or maybe they have a gripe because their neighbors said that they were mad about a fence or something. What's your message to that middle audience who could kind of go either way?
Well, like usual, let's talk if you have any questions. Most of the fears are because of ignorance of what the other person is going to do, or not knowing,
or just not communicating.
You say, oh, that guy never say hi to me. Yeah, because we don't know you. But once you say hi, oh, that's a nice guy. So the same happens. I mean, there's no secrets in the NCA. Everything is in the website. Everything you can see. There's no hiding agendas. But there are going to be things that we do that you don't agree, or makes you mad, or think that are stupid. Who came with that idea? Whatever. Well, bring your idea. What your solution is. Maybe your idea is a lot better than anything that we came up with. Maybe your idea is more thinking about you than the rest of the community. I don't know. So let's see but there's no bad ideas.
Thanks for the dialogue, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rich. I really appreciate this because, as you said, we really need communication in this town. We need to talk about things, and we need to put our energy in the same direction. Not always, but try to be, in preserve and what all living nature creatures are here. They need our help. They cannot fight this fight. So we are the ones who can protect them.
We catch up in a couple months.
All right. Thank you.